Morning, still morning. Good morning, everybody. Still morning. Thanks for joining us. Yes, there's a reference to Back to the Future, and you guys will kind of gather that as we go with this one, but bear with me. The context does come in. But who am I and why am I here? Some of you guys already know me very well. Some of you don't. So just for context, my name's Alex Martin. I'm a co-director for a company called CyberHogan. Provides pen testing, red teaming, social engineering, and training for the industry. I also run my own consultancy, M Consulting, which provides mentoring to people joining the industry, as well as people and professionals in the industry wanting to kind of migrate their careers and change directions or whatever the case might be. I'm also a lead lecturer for Qualcomm and Correlation One, providing training again to people who are wanting to get into the industry and move around. And last but not least, Mitchell & O'Malley. Yes, it's I'm not Michelin starred, but it is a home baking company I started at the end of the pandemic. I make cakes. And yes, my lemon dizzle is the bomb. So why have I chosen Back to the Future? Well, Future Cyber event in Old Trafford. It was in February this year. A lot of us went to it. I was extremely disappointed in it. I've been to the event a few years on the trot now, and it's supposed to be the future of cyber. And yet, there were still pen testers up on the stage talking about DNS poisoning, phishing, pivoting within networks, and phishing, spear phishing of CISOs to be able to have constant access into a network. Well, that's not the future of cyber. That's what we've been doing for the last 15 years, right? So it kind of irked me that there wasn't anything out there in the show that was saying, this is what's on the horizon, this is what's coming, be aware of it, and let's try and do something a little bit positive and proactive with what's coming rather than reactive as we usually are in this industry. Which led me to think, what's on the horizon? What's coming? Some of you will have seen these, some of you might not, but interestingly enough, personally, this is the future. I'm of a generation, because I'm getting frightfully old now, unfortunately. Don't let the youthful complexion fool you. But I'm of a generation who migrated from riding the BMX and playing out with the friends and all that kind of stuff to having a mobile phone and having Xboxes and all that kind of stuff, right? I think they call us technology migrants. The same evolution is about to happen again, where all of our kids and you guys, the younger generation that are in here, all have your mobile phones. Your children, our grandchildren, are going to have wearables. This is going to happen. Currently, they are like ski masks. They're big, cumbersome things and all that kind of stuff. But the technological advancement means that they are going to be wearables, like proper, like sunglasses. If you have a look at Apple Ray-Bans, Meta Ray-Bans, Apple Ray-Bans, not sure which one it is now, but there are already a set of sunglasses that have the cameras built into them. It's not going to be a massive leap to be able to take the lenses out of these things and put them onto Ray-Bans sunglasses or something like that in the very near future. So these are out there at the moment. HoloLens 2's been around for quite a number of years. I think they've got a developer pack out at the moment. Still, they're about $2,500 to buy. So, you know, the cost bracket at that point in time makes it a little bit difficult for people to purchase, just general man on the street. Apple Vision Pro, that came out earlier this year. I think it was released in the States, particularly in February. $2,500. There's a number, weirdly enough. But it's Apple, so expect it to be expensive. I have already seen a lot of TikTok influencers in the States already wearing these things and already using them. I was also lucky enough to be at DTX a couple of weeks ago, and somebody actually had one on the stand. And yes, I now definitely want one myself. Where I think this is going to massively impact the industry and massively impact humanity, if you like, is when the cost comes down and it becomes more realizable for people on the street, the average man and whatever like that, which is where MetaQuest 3 comes into play. MetaQuest 3 was released October last year. At an average cost of about 450 quid. Right? Offers the same capabilities, more or less, as the Apple Vision Pro. Doesn't look as slick, obviously, but hey, it's still pretty cool to be able to have an augmented reality interaction with seeing all you guys whilst I've still got all these multiple screens going off if I wanted to. How's it going to impact us? Well, that's HoloLens over there. That's Apple Vision Pro, and I think that one over there might be Meta Quest. I'm not sure. But what it'll do is, again, people are going to put these things on and be immersed in the technology. You're not going to have to worry about having stuff in your hands or wearing stuff on your watch. You're going to be in it constantly. There's going to be a massive reduction in hardware. And this is where I'm coming from. There's an organizational drive as well as a personal drive, right? If you can get rid of your 50-inch screen and could have a 400-inch screen, why wouldn't you, right? No cost for that because you buy one of these things and you can create one virtually. From an organizational perspective, do without your laptops, do without the extra monitors and stuff like that. So you can set up multiple different screens doing all different sorts of things. I've seen these being used. There was a guy that was reviewing them, and he was using it on an airplane. And even with the restricted space that he had, he could still have multiple screens set up, still be working away virtually. The collaboration internationally, getting the best of us in the world to work on things. We've got that capability in Teams now, more or less. But this would give you the ability to actually interact with another person in a more in-depth way, a more interactive way, feeling like you're actually in the room with that person. The augmentedness of it all is what's going to drive it. I think I'm going to add at this point, and I'll get onto the fears of these kind of things in a minute, but there was another gentleman who reviewed the technology. He put it on, and he said it was really weird putting it on. I mean, you put a pair of ski goggles on, basically. It's weird to have these things on your face to start with. But he says within about 5-10 minutes, he was engrossed. He was bought into it. Stuff at your fingertips, just clicking and scrolling and doing whatever you wanted to do. But it was at your fingertips, literally. He says that was amazing. To be able to get into it and engrossed in it so quickly was for him just mind-blowing. The problem he had was taking it off. So having all of that power, all that knowledge, all that ability at your fingertips, and then coming back to what is technically a bland and mundane reality at the best of times, right? There's going to be a driver for that, but I'll get to that one in a minute. Another benefit, I feel, for these, and this is Meta's version of it, Meta avatars. So Meta's already coming up with this idea of you will be able to create a character that best represents you. I think in this day and age where there's a wide variety of all different cultures and individuals and what have you like that, we need to be able to reduce visual bias. And this will be able to enable us to do that. We can change clothing, appearance, whatever the case might be, and express ourselves as our true selves, or as we believe ourselves to be on this platform. And again, when we're applying for jobs, if we're meeting new people, whatever the case might be, you don't have visual bias that's potentially going to get in the way of getting that job, or whatever the case is, because you will be represented by the version of you that you want to portray to the world. Personally, this is what I feel it's really going to look like. This is actually a clip, screenshots from a short video clip called Hyper Reality on YouTube. I would very much recommend going and having a watch of it. For me, as with everything that is my world, bright, neon and loud. I've had to wear this, which is still bright enough, but, I did come in a Hawaiian shirt if anybody saw me arrive. If you didn't, you'd have seen me coming. Trust me. But for me, this is what I think the world will be like. The way that the augmented reality of the headsets works is it takes the world and adds to it. So you're going to have, bus stops, whatever the case might be, or pedestrian crossings. You're going to have adverts. I mean, yes, we are the commodity. We're the ones that people are selling so that they can spam us with ads about everything. Meta's doing it. Facebook, Everybody's doing it. Instagram, the whole lot. We are the commodity. But this is what it'll be. It'll be neon, it'll be bright, it'll be loud. There'll be a lot going off at the same time. You will obviously be able to dial this thing down so that you can do with your own personal stuff. But whilst you're out and about, it's all going to be like this, I feel. There's going to be a lot of input coming at us all the time. It'll make it a lot more interactive with the world. But I feel it's also, the way it's going to work is primarily off of QR codes, which we'll get to in a second. What's all this going to generate? Well, there's going to be a massive impact in the workload that data centers are going to have to deal with. You know, all of a sudden you've gone from your laptop, your phone, your watch. These are devices that you pick up, turn on, and then interact with. These things are going to be on permanently. You know, particularly, like I say, once you've sort of scaled it down to being a pair of sunglasses or something like that, rather than be the big headset that you would typically turn on and wear. If it's a pair of sunglasses or normal glasses, whatever the case is, it's just going to be on permanently. The amount of data, the input, the constant feed of information it's going to be processing about you, your whereabouts, your interests, what you look at, what you don't look at, how you walk, all that kind of stuff is all going to be there, and it's all going to be processed out in the cloud somewhere. So there's going to be a huge burst of data and information being pushed out to the cloud, more so than we already have at the moment. And that data, the bad guys are wanting to get their hands on it, aren't they? You know, that's the only thing that they're going for. Data is valuable. So the more we push out there, the more valuable you become as an individual to try and have that data stolen from. Coming back to the advertising, it's going to be these QR codes, I feel. Registering from the optics of the devices, it's going to pick up the QR code and give you the instruction of what that piece is. There is, again, I'm not going to go too far over here, but in that far image, this one here, there is actually an outline of a person on there, which means that you'll be able to potentially wear a t-shirt that says, "You can't see me, I'm the invisible man," right? You can walk up to persons and steal their digital identity, I don't know, somehow hack into their visual optics through QR codes again, and have their QR registered device visually show them something that isn't necessarily there. These things are meant to be worn, I'm going to say worn on a permanent basis, but don't, because obviously you want to just actually liaise with people eventually. But it's going to be that you're going to be wearing them quite frequently, shall we say. And let's just say at some point they allow you to drive with these things on, and that car in front of you gets blipped off the map because it's a QR code that's been stuck onto the back of it that says this car doesn't exist. You're happily driving along at 70 miles an hour and bang, you know. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful things that I feel that they're going to be able to do with these things just because it's the optic registration. There's also going to be, I feel, again, this is a clip from that same video, the advent of AI and deepfake, and those two coming together and evolving as they are doing, means that what you see isn't necessarily what you should believe. That's going to become a big problem, you know. We always say seeing is believing, and if you phone somebody, customer support, your mum, your dad, your sister, brother, family, friends, police, you know, whatever the case is, at that point in time when you're using your device, there might be somebody that's redirecting that traffic off somewhere else maliciously because they want you to interact in a certain way, or with them rather than with a family member, or a family member phones you. We've seen this on the deep fakes as well, where, you know, somebody might pose as a family member saying, "Oh, I'm stuck in a situation. I need to get a taxi. I've lost my wallet. Could you just forward me some cash?" Blah, blah, blah. If you've seen the person phone you and it's your mum, your dad, your sister, your brother, whatever family member, you're more likely to believe them and go, "Oh, yeah, there you go." Meanwhile, it's a potential deepfake. This is only getting worse. I think personally as well, there's going to be a massive issue with mental health. I'm a big advocate for mental health. We are in Men's Mental Health Month, just so everybody knows. So, you know, reach out and give somebody a hug eventually. But I think there's going to be a massive issue with mental health. Social skills and interactions between people. We've already seen a bit of an impact with this, with, you know, my son's generation, Xbox fans, they chat. They don't go out and ride their bikes very much. They don't socialise, interact with people personally. They'd rather get online and have a chat there. We're missing some of the soft skills there, genuinely. And I think it's only going to potentially get worse. We're going to meet each other online, and maybe they will still carry through, but certainly when you take the goggles off, the anxiety levels of actually having to interact with another actual human being is, there's all sorts of problems that are potentially going to be there. And then there is the whole, just even losing touch with reality. We're going to be seeing this huge neon world, and it's going to be interactive, and we're going to have all this input coming at us all the time. And then you're going to take the goggles off, and it's going to go. And the serotonin, the rest of the hormones in your brain that give you the feel-good stuff, all that interaction will be gone. And coming back to reality will suck. So it's quite damaging. I think there needs to be some kind of way of policing that, but I don't know how just yet. Well, before I get to that one. So the concern that I've got is genuinely that it's going to be that we need to take care of this, but it's coming. This technology is coming. We need to be aware that it is on the horizon. There's more people using it. It's going to become part of our daily lives. Corporates are going to take it on. This, I feel, is now a turning point where this technology, because it's available, will start being integrated in. I say this on the grounds of you guys being the ones that look after security, that look into this kind of technology, that are there to protect and build systems and antiviruses and anything against the APT stuff and all those, right, need to be aware that this technology is on the horizon. It's going to be mass used. Not mass manufactured, but mass used. And I feel like we're an industry who is more reactive than proactive. And the reason why we have a firewall is because somebody tried to break in one time. And the reason why we have antivirus is somebody created a worm to try and get in. This has been created already. Let's try and get ahead of that curve. Knowing that they're going to be utilized, we've already seen a raise in QR code, malicious QR codes out there. Knowing that this is going to be there, that there's going to be ways and means that the bad guys are going to try and break into this technology and steal your data, let's try and get ahead of that curve before it's mass used. Let's try and get it now. And I say this without having the answer myself, but if we aren't doing something about it, if we aren't focusing in on this and driving towards a better future for the wearers of these things, we are the problem. We are not being proactive. We are the problem. It's just going to be another reactive situation in our industry. Let's try and change that going forward. And then for some fun stuff, because, they've been telling us about this stuff for years, right? Back to the Future, Johnny Mnemonic. Some of this for you guys might be like, you're too young for it. But Ready Player One. I'll bring you to that because that's Ready Player One. That's Apple Vision Pro. Right? And who didn't watch, for those who watched Ready Player One, who didn't go, well, yeah, I want that. I want to be that immersed in the game that I feel like I'm actually genuinely there. Well, with Apple Vision Pro, you pretty much nearly are. So we're apart from, you can buy the suits now, but apart from being strung up and actually being driven, you know what I mean? But you're almost there. We're almost there. This technology is at the point of Hollywood. And, of course, in The Simpsons we trust. That clip was aired 8 years ago. 8 years ago. Before Apple Vision Pro. Probably before HoloLens, and certainly before Ready Player One. And doesn't that look uncannily familiar? So I'd just like to say, that is a QR code. Yes, don't click on it. No, it's fine. It's safe. That's me and my details. If we aren't already connected on LinkedIn, I'm on it. I'm prolific. I chat to everybody. Please feel free to connect. All my details are on there. And I'll open for Q&A. Thank you for your time. Any questions? Can't have been that thorough. Go on.
With a little bit of a conspiracy hat on.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I'm tinfoil all the way.
So,
yeah.
Like government governments do trackers and stuff like that who know that and tracking our technologies. Do we need to also incorporate the idea of protecting ourselves from our own governments, being able to track us, potentially turning us off if we don't agree with them? Do you see that that's a potential thing to think about?
I mean, that's with every technology, right?
Yeah.
You got a mobile phone, they're tracking you.
Yeah, exactly.
You aren't somewhere in their demographic, then you probably find that all of a sudden your Wi-Fi connections go down a little bit. You know, you're getting a little bit more latency.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. How do you do it is the problem. You can't, it's not necessarily on the device itself. It's going to be out there, the connections. It's going to be at the data centers, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, how far does that rabbit hole go? Because you've got to trust somebody at some point in the government. Kinda. It feels really dirty saying that. But you've got to kind of say, well, somebody at some point is working in our benefit as well. It's not all about them trying to control us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, tinfoil hat on for a second, because they are.
Yeah.
But it's potentially the access from all the other third parties. In Elsa's talk just now, we were talking about the APTs and how they come from all the multiple different countries that they do. And they're attacking the governments, and the governments are, you know, where they're formulating it. But at the point where all our data is at the data centers, and it's a huge feed of that data, the data centers are probably going to get attacked by APTs, probably government sponsored, and it's the other governments that we need to be maybe more worried about. So it's protecting our data in general, not just from our own homegrown government, but from everybody.
Okay, maybe one of the reasons people not consider this one as a near future yet because of the branded one, which is quite expensive, so limited people can purchase. Don't you think the biggest threat is when China come to the picture and make the cheaper version of them?
Yep.
And it would be everyone can buy it.
Accessibility. Yeah. Accessibility is the massive driver with this. At what point will everybody use it? Because I'm pretty sure from just this very short clip that I've shown you here, and please do go and watch the YouTube video because it's freaking amazing. But everybody here would have to agree that they probably want one as well. Yeah? You know, you've seen the stuff, augmented reality, and you can put it on, you can walk around your house whilst also watching TV and blah, blah, blah. Of course we want it. It's at the point where it becomes available for everybody at a reasonable cost, which is when it will explode and our kids will have it. Because everybody's kids, there'll be a certain demographic of kids that will get it at the more uplifted price. And then everybody else's kid will be like, I want one, I want one, I want. And when it becomes a reasonable price, Christmas will go rife and everybody will be online, right? MetaQuest 3 currently is at 450 quid. I'd like to say that that's probably an accessible price for the majority of people still. You know, it's not massively expensive. It's not the thousands of pounds. It's more than an Xbox, but it's not outside the realm of, well, yeah, we'll buy one as a special thing now. Still accessible price that. But yes, certainly when it comes down, a couple of £100, you know, mass manufactured, plastic thing that when you drop it on the floor, it breaks apart and you'll just buy another one. You know, that, yeah, absolutely, that's when it'll become a major problem. And our kids will have it. Our kids will be wearing them constantly. You can wear them and walk around with them on. So it will be a case that they will be used more.
You've not already gone now about half the things like Google Glass, the Focus by North, that cardboard switch thing that Nintendo made a few years ago, and then all of the things where you could do that, you just drop your smartphone into it, Lenovo's thing, HTC's thing, Samsung thing as well, I think.
Yep. Yes and no. Google Glass is dead. I love Google Glass. I wanted one of them.
You're the only person that ever does it.
I know, but I love the augmented reality aspect of it. Do you know what I mean, right? And I would have bought one. If they hadn't killed it. The cardboard things and the Oculuses where you can put your phone in, all that kind of stuff. This is the evolution of that. This is them progressing that idea to go, right, let's go down a road where we can have wearables and then have a look at the Apple Ray-Bans. We're at the cusp of that becoming the next leap into it. Because why would you want your mobile phone slotted into it and wearing a big thing like that? Do you know what I mean? When I can just get the MetaQuest 3 or the Apple Vision Pro and I can put that on. Get rid of my phone. Completely. So there's an evolution of the technology. and that was probably the beginning of it, to try and test the market to see if it was something that people would accept. Would you put something on your face that you could allow to interact with the rest of the world and the internet? Yes, you would? Cool. Let's start going down that road. I think that's the gist of it, basically. Yes, sir.
So there's a few things that resonate. I think that you mentioned was around confidentiality and privacy. So with these technologies that are coming up, we're going to see more data moving into the cloud rather than solid process computer. Now, the threat to my mind is actually able to harvest that data when it's there. You have to rely on the understanding security controls to deal with that.
Yep.
There's another aspect of that where AI is making decisions for you when you actually can't move towards it. So you talked about deep fakes, but there's the other side where actually things do go wrong and you actually find out what the decision paths were to arrive at those points. So I guess as a security community where one of the things that we need to research to solve those problems. We've seen things like confidential compute where you can have some level of privacy, but those are open to all sorts of problems underneath them. So things like cyber attacks, micro-architectural type problems. And I guess that's probably a problem place where we might need to focus on where the data is going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the currency that we're already playing now. And how do we make sure that we are securing it in our pockets and in the cloud? It's just an observation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that is, the data going to the cloud. It's not necessarily the devices that we would have that we need to be still have to be concerned about. But yes, certainly, where is it being stored? What are they doing about it? I've over the last couple of years been interested in data centers and how they're evolving, because there is now new technologies that are coming out. The processing speeds and the heat generated means that the old-fashioned air-cooled data centers are possibly going to go redundant very quickly. And particularly if we're going to start shoving a load of data out there, that throughput and processing ability means that the heat generator is going to go through the roof. That's a whole data center issue. But securing the data centers is definitely going to be a big cause. That's where our data is going to be stored. Is there a trust element there? Is there a trust element there? Do we trust the data centers to hold our data? Do we know that they're doing it in the right way? Do we know that are they utilizing some kind of level of AI to combat persistent threats because that can process faster and evolve quicker than what the human being could do looking at stuff, and maybe the algorithms and some of the current protective softwares are? I don't know the answer. And maybe we need some reassurance from data center organizations to actually stand up and go, yes, you know what? Because I've never heard them standing up and doing stuff, going, we're protecting your data. They'll quite easily, I had on the course I've been recently running, I gave them the analogy of the cloud is basically somebody giving you a house with no windows and doors and stuff like that, but you've got the outside shell, and then you fill it with the applications and the furniture, and then you put the security on it of the doors and windows. They'll give you the house, but you've got to secure it. As members of the public, that's our responsibility. Is it? No. There should be a level of, the Joe public, everybody outside of this event and these rooms that we come into from a cybersecurity perspective, they don't know. The plumbers, the hairdressers, dog walkers, they don't know about security. So the onus needs to be on somebody who's housing it to secure it. Again, I come back to, I've never really heard them standing up going, yeah, we're doing it. So maybe there's a conversation to be had there. Maybe we need to somehow push back on those guys to say, what are you doing? And how are you doing it? And when the breach happens at your side, that it is your responsibility and not mine to put the doors and windows in. It's a good point. Good question. Yeah. Any more? Any more? Cool. Again, thank you very much for your time.